So, welcome. And for everyone who doesn't know, Miranda is a global animal and human communications counselor, and she collaborates with veterinarians to deepen the bond between people and animals. And she holds a master's in spiritual psychology, and she teaches her unique animal communication methods worldwide. She's been featured in numerous documentaries and podcasts and publications, and her intuitive insights continue to transform countless lives. So, as you all know, I'm the CEO and co-founder of Mama Soul. And for those of you who don't know, and some of you may be wondering how these expert series that I've been holding tie into Mama Soul. And each of them really embody the idea of wellness or spirituality. And if you're an owner of an animal, just think about how often you're outside or by a window. And it's really important to protect your skin while enjoying your time with your furry friends. And then we also believe in self-care as a foundation of wellness. And we've heard somewhere that animals can sense when we're stressed or we're overwhelmed. So this is a really good way to learn how to take care of ourselves in a way that benefits our furry companions. So I want to dive in and welcome Miranda. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you for inviting me. This is such a pleasure, and I'm excited. Thank you.
So let's just get into it. Tell us what sparked your journey into the world of animal communication, and was there a particular moment or experience that opened your eyes to this gift?
That's a really wonderful question because I am so blessed that I came into this life remembering where I had just been. And so my history with animal communication, other telepathic, bilocation, multi, diversity happening for eons. And so in this particular lifetime, working with animals, the agreements I made coming in was to help the humans by working with their animals. And, I, one of my favorite remembrances is when I was 3 years old. I was in my parents' backyard, tiny little yard, and I was playing with ladybugs because the ladybugs would talk to me. They were just really wonderful. And my mom came out and said, I was very much of a tomboy. And my mom came out and said, "We have company coming, we have relatives coming, you need to come in and get dressed." It was like, why would I want to come in and get dressed? I'm playing with the ladybug. No, you need to. And then she left. And then the ladybug said, "No, you need to do this. You actually need to do this." And I thought, why? But anyway, I went in, changed my clothes, and then it was my great aunt and great uncle. They had come from Egypt. My great uncle was an Egyptologist and actually was part of the opening of King Tut's tomb in the 20s. But they brought an energy with them. And the first thing my great aunt said was, "Miranda, and how are you?" And I went, "Well, we haven't ever heard of this one." And the ladybugs, I could feel them going, "She made it." Because those people in my family understood there was more to me than just a little kid sitting in the backyard. So at that point, I was listening to the ladybugs and the snails, and it just grew and grew, as in how much information that I could have. And then also animals overlapping from other lifetimes that I'd worked with in other lifetimes as well. So it grew into the humans are the ones that need the help.
Amazing.
Well, that's really great. I became a human counselor, but I was told at 19, you will be able to help more humans by working with their animals first. And that, in fact, is what's been happening.
So I love that. Such a cool story. For those unfamiliar with the concept, how would you describe animal communication? What does it feel like? Because we just had a session yesterday and it was so cool. But what does it feel like to truly connect with an animal on an intuitive level? Like, how does it work? Tell us what you feel. What do you hear? Do you see pictures? How does this work?
All of that, all of the above. Can I check that box? All of the above.
Yes. Yeah.
So what's wonderful is Yes, it does take practice. We have these skills within us, but it takes recognizing them and then actually wanting to practice and expand them. Sometimes it can be for some people that their body starts prickling when they open up. Sometimes it can be that they have dreams about it. Sometimes it can be that they're sitting and they swear their animal wants something from them, but they don't know how to do it. So telepathic communication, nonverbal communication can happen in so many ways. Because if we start listening to our bodies, we get information.
Yeah.
Whether it is a chunk of energy coming through the air, if we listen to it, there's information to be had. So with the animals, I mean, I will share with you one time, I've been doing this for eons, as I mentioned, but one time I was trying to look for an exercise to help people learn.
Yeah.
So this goes back many years. And I had my first service dog because I'm hearing impaired and I sign and I have all kinds of equipment. But at that point, we didn't have this equipment. So I was sitting in my living room and my border collie was in the bedroom. So I closed my eyes and I thought, okay, you know what? I'm going to call him without saying anything. So in my mind's eye, I was saying, radar, radar, wondering, come on, radar. And then it hits me, Miranda, you're deaf and your eyes are closed. How are you going to know if radar is coming? So I opened my eyes and here's radar looking at his watch, like, just sitting right in front of me. And that's when I realized this is a great exercise for everyone to do at home, which is you close your eyes, your animal's in a different place, and you internally call that animal. You can
Wow.
do it by picturing them. You can do it by acting as though you are actually feeling yourself pet them, and then allow yourself to participate. And there's so much healing to be had.
Wow. So when you were reading my dog yesterday and you were having this conversation with her back and forth, what were some of the things that you felt like to get, like, was you heard her speaking, or like, I'm so curious how that happened. It was like a script going back and forth. It was so cool.
Because it was fast communication.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's real time. It's in real time
Yeah.
communication. It has to do with the animals knowing how to communicate with us and the meeting place. So there are many ways they can send information to us and we can receive it. With your dog in particular, she's big on pictures, 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 wanting to show what's going on.
Okay.
And then what surprised me and sort of not was that she was not the only animal we worked with.
Yeah.
Because when that door was open, it's like, you guys, the humans are listening. Come on.
Yeah.
Because it's so rare.
Yeah.
How did you experience it?
I haven't experienced. I mean, you mean how did I experience the session yesterday? I mean, I was just taking it all in, and what I heard from you was just this. You said you would ask a question and then you would repeat the answer, and it almost felt like she was speaking to you. So that's why I was curious. Are you getting these pictures as the download and then you're translating them? Is that how it works?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also remember that the animals are spending a lot of time with us 24/7. And that exposure, sometimes they will have words. By that I mean if they find something that works, and so they're not speaking the words, but they understand we're used to the sound of something. So it is sound that perhaps we'd say we don't normally hear, but we actually do. But it's on a nonverbal level. However, the communication is very clear. Sometimes it's a scent. Sometimes it's a feeling. Sometimes they show us what they want us to know or and then we respond by showing them, maybe not meaning to, what we don't want them to do,
Yeah.
which is really not a good plan.
Okay.
Because if we're picturing, okay, don't do that. Didn't
Right.
I tell you don't do that? We're showing them what we don't want them to do. But if you're picturing, I love it when you're so calm when the company arrives.
Oh, that's a good piece of advice. So essentially, instead of saying what not to do or thinking what not to do, you're manifesting the good behavior
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then thereby hoping that they hear it in some way.
Well, and remembering that One of the suggestions, I know we talked about this at some point yesterday, but one of the suggestions I have is you need to learn more about the culture of the animal that you have. Because otherwise, we're expecting that they're supposed to be, like humans. How come they're not? Fill in
Yeah.
the blank. And I find that too when I'm working posthumously or an animal is about to transition out of body because of illness, because of what happens. And the humans sometimes will say, well, send me a sign so
Right.
I know you're near. But the challenge is we're thinking in human terms,
Mm,
very different from, I would love to feel you in any way you can.
right. Oh, yeah.
And now all of a sudden, a human is asleep having had an animal transition, and they feel that animal jump on the bed.
Yeah. I've had that happen. How do you establish the connection with the animal during the sessions? Like with us, is there a unique process that you use and to tap into their energy? So just you can use me as an example. Do you just you see the picture of the dog and then you just call in the energy? How does it work?
I've been doing this for eons, so I use multi ways of using information that all melds into one. But for the purpose of beginning, the exercise that I gave you is a really good idea to close your eyes and call your animal.
Yeah.
The the focus with me is that I only open when I am working
Okay.
because I don't want to catch whatever's flying by. That's not
Right.
my job. That's not what I do. But I ask first, I would like to communicate with you. Would this be okay with you?
Yeah.
And you have to be willing to hear no.
Yeah.
And you have to be willing to respect it and say, okay, fine.
Okay.
In my classes, in the courses I teach online, we have 3 levels, but we look at pictures and we work with animals and we work with their humans so that you have an opportunity to, if an animal says no, to move to the next animal.
Yeah.
But it does take that awareness and then being aware of your body sensations. How many animals do we know bump into you to get your attention? And yet
Yeah.
we wouldn't consider that a language, but it is.
Oh, well, that happens to me every day.
There you go.
Okay. What are some of the most common emotional struggles that you see in animals, and how do you deal with those challenges, and how do they reflect on what's happening in their human's life, I guess, is the question that I have. Like, for example, if my dog, if I just actually I have a friend's dog that she just messaged me. She said her dog was just like peeing, right, she just had a baby. She's peeing on the floor all the time now out of nowhere. How does that reflect what's happening, I guess, in the human's life? How can you relate that to what's going on?
I asked to see what caused that.
Yeah.
And I say to the animal, show me what's going on.
Yeah.
I also climb into the animal's body. First, I ask permission to see what sensations there may be there. Is there a UTI? What are we actually dealing with?
Yeah.
And what is the anxiety the animal has?
Yeah.
What's the anxiety in the house?
Yeah.
Because if there's tension in the house, we have to take responsibility for our part of it,
Yeah.
which is that this animal has come out of their natural habitat to live in our house. They are surrounded by everything that's in our house.
Mm.
So we can't really say, I'm upset, you get over it.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So
So
it
what
isn't
what
just
would you say are like the top like because you've been doing this so long, like what would you say are like the top three just emotional struggles that you deal with when you're talking to animals?
what the
Anxiety,
humans feel like or what the animals feel like. I'm lost here.
what the animals feel like.
Um, they wish they're humans. Well, one of the funny things, I always love this when it comes up, is that people will say, I love you. Oh God, I really love you.
Yeah.
Do you know how much I love you? And then we come in and the animal says, will you please tell her to stop repeating herself? You
Oh
know,
God.
because it isn't that they don't feel our love, but they get it. They get it.
That's
They
funny.
get it.
I do that. All I do all day is say that exact thing to my dog.
And love and yeah, but what's neat about that
Yeah.
is you're also exuding the love.
Right.
when you say it. See, and that's a beautiful way to say I love you. That's a beautiful languaging.
Yeah.
So yeah, most people want to know, does my animal know how much I love them? That would be the number one
Yeah.
thing. Then also behavioral issues. Why are you so and so? And then eating, then health. Is there something ill? Is my animal ill? I can tell something's wrong, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And then there is pain in the body. And then is that animal ready to transition? Does that animal need help out of that body?
Yeah, for everybody listening, it's really cool. Miranda can actually also do body scans on your dog if you have actual issue like health issues. She can actually tap into that as well. So it's a cool thing. Could save you a lot of money at the vet. Um, and also help get to the root of the problem. How do you can we learn to recognize the hidden signs of stress or discomfort in our animals, especially since they hide their emotions?
I don't find that dogs hide their emotions. They can be stoic when it has to do with pain because innately they understand if they show any kind of weakness, they can be taken down as prey. Boom.
Oh,
So,
that makes
depending
sense.
on how connected
Yeah.
that particular animal is within their species, can also dictate how much they show. But I find animals to be pretty out front about how they're feeling.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, just recently, I mean, this is just off the top of my head. I was walking into a store that in the back they train dogs. And the people were working with the dogs and they were trying to get them to sit and trying to get them to calm down. Now, when I walked in, and I'm not saying this from an ego standpoint, you hear me out on this one.
Yeah.
I walked in, the dogs went, okay. Now, why does that happen? Because they feel someone who's listening at a level they can pick up. I didn't say
Mm-hmm.
anything,
Mm-hmm.
but the people were going, what are you doing to my dog? Like, what did you just? I didn't do anything,
Mm-hmm.
but they're going, whoa, she has antennae. She's
Yeah.
listening. And so, believe it or not, we can communicate so much in silence to our animals.
Yeah.
And it's really fun
Yeah.
because when you learn to listen, I mean, I have had animals that were like Groucho Marx. I've had animals that have the wildest sense of humor.
Yeah.
Animals that are so loving with their human and then say, my human is ill. I mean,
Mm.
I have had that happen where I'm thinking of one in particular right now, but this happens a fair amount. I've been doing this decades of a dog that said his human had challenges with her thyroid and her liver. Now, remember that dogs are based on scent.
Mm-hmm.
So being able that her scent changed, biochemistry changed, and that animal is able to ascertain something's wrong with my human. When an animal says that, I say to the human, this is what your animal is telling me. I don't know if that's true. Does that resonate with you, or do you not want me to go there?
Yeah.
Because that's not why they're hiring me.
Yeah.
However, I will share with you, one was an incredible veterinarian,
Yeah.
and she was hiding how sick she was. And this animal outed her and said she needed to retire, she needed to take care of herself. And the vet was going, uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh. And I thought, wow, this is a tough one because it
Yeah.
doesn't sound like she's allowing herself to let it in. And
Yeah.
I got a call 3 months later from her husband saying she'd passed.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so, we need to listen to our animals. And sometimes listening can just be as simple as, why are you sleeping on top of me when you usually don't do that?
Mm.
Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
I mean, um, I had a man named Steve who had a cat, and he wasn't sure he believed in what I did in the first place.
Yeah.
And his focus was, yeah, just ask my cat. Will you ask her or him? I guess ask him, why does he have to sleep on my chest? It's too hot. Tell
Yeah.
him to stop sleeping on my chest.
Yeah.
So I said to the cat, why are you sleeping on your human's chest? And he said his heart. And I said, many Meaning that you love his heart? He said, no, there's something going on with his heart.
Wow.
Now, I don't withhold. So I said, sir, I don't know how you feel about this, but your cat is telling me that, you have something going on with your heart. And he said, that's ridiculous. I don't have anything going on with my heart. And in the meantime, I'm watching this cat, I can feel it,
Mhm.
adjust his purr to the tempo of the heart he's working with.
Wow.
So the guy was kind of pissed off. He didn't hang up on me, but it was like, oh, yeah, this is not real. And I heard 2 weeks later from the person who had referred him, thank you for saying that, because he's now in care for, coronary issues,
Wow.
and it was pretty serious.
Wow.
And the man started getting treatment, and that cat was laying on his chest for 2 years.
Oh,
The man passed, and the cat passed 2 weeks after that.
wow. That's
Mission accomplished.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, when I'm listening, because in our session yesterday, you were like, your dog loves that you listen into her. And for me, it's really just making eye contact a lot with her. And I really do try, I feel like I can read her mind. And it's been just a short amount of time that I've had her. I've only had her for, 5 months. And I feel like I just know exactly what she wants for the most part when she wants it. So for those of you who don't know how to do it, that's how I do it. I don't know if that's a good strategy, Miranda. But yeah, that's how I do it. Okay. It said that animals,
Well,
yeah,
I just want to comment there that people can learn by trying things.
okay.
Now, you have to be careful because, especially with animals that are trained by being fed, in other words, they get a treat,
Yeah.
they can be working you.
Yeah.
And that's a funny thing. But when you discover it, you have options to pull back. You have options to pull back. But no, I think it's great that you can tell by looking at her.
Yeah.
That is nonverbal communication
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're feeling it, you're sensing it.
Yeah. It said that animals absorb the owner's emotions. Can you dive deeper into how an animal's well-being can be tied to their human's mental or emotional state?
Okay. So, um, I work with over the years, several service dogs, and those dogs are phenomenal. They are used to, as incredible horses, equine therapy. I have seen amazing things happen with horses where they get near, for instance, children with special needs.
Yeah.
And the kids, when they're allowed to put their hands on the horse adjusts what that energy is. And it can be really subtle.
Mhm.
And then we see the kids light up. Now, we don't know, okay, is it mind? No. Hands, energy, information, one to another. And that's why I say there is no one way. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of ways to receive information and go back and forth, depending on the species.
Yeah.
I had a dog I love very much that would communicate with koi in a pond.
Mhm.
And every time we would go to our friend's house that had koi in the pond, he would put his head in above the water. First, he started putting it down in the water and the fish would go, whoop. But he then realized if he just left his head over a half inch, they would come up to touch his muzzle.
Mhm.
And there you're seeing two cultures learning to communicate with each other.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
I hope that answers what you were asking. I'm not sure.
Yeah. The next question is, could you share a particularly powerful or moving story where you helped heal an animal's emotional wounds through communication?
Oh, yeah. I get chills just thinking of this one. I got a call many years ago from a gentleman who was the manager of a ranch in Arizona, beautiful part of Arizona. And my mom and I were going to take a trip there. So I said, this is unusual, but my mom and I can actually come to the ranch in person. Oh my God, we'd love that. So I went. And he explained to me that his horse was sick. They were giving medications, they were doing all kinds of things, but he didn't seem to be improving. And they wanted to know, was there anything I could see about it? Well, when I spoke with this horse, meaning I was listening back and forth with what was going on, um, he was very slow in that he was sort of looked at me when I approached as, oh, yeah, great, another human. There was not, but I explained to him I really was there to listen and I needed to know what would help him because his humans wanted to know what would help him. And he said he didn't feel that well and that it just was challenging for him, and he was doing the best he could. And it wasn't non-information, but you could tell this horse was just about had it.
Yeah.
Now he was not saying I need to transition, but he was saying, I don't know what to tell you, kind of thing. But I thanked him for his trust. And as I was walking away, he put his muzzle at the base of my spine. So literally my butt at the base of my spine and boom, sent me into the air 10 feet.
Oh,
I was lucky I landed on my feet. I've never had a horse do that to me. I've never experienced that. I landed on my feet and caught myself. And the ranch manager came running over and said, "Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, ma'am. Like I've never seen this horse do anything like that. I've never seen that." And I said, "It's okay. No, it's okay. He didn't harm me." And I got in the car, and my mom and I started driving through the desert away. I went, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. What's going on? Why did this horse do that? And the horse said to me, the medicine they're giving me is killing me.
wow.
And I went, whoa, Mom, we got to find a phone. So we're in the middle of the desert, and here's a phone booth. I mean, really, how realistic is this? I have no idea. Got out of the car, had my mom help me dial the number because of my hearing impairment, got the guy on the phone who was the ranch manager. And I said, I apologize for bothering you. He said, no, no, what is it? I said, I realized the horse had said to me, the medicine they're giving me is killing me. He said, yes, that's what I've been feeling. That's what I've been thinking. Thank you. We'll let you know. And he hung up. And 3 days later, he called and said, he's doing so much better. We stopped the medication.
Wow. That's powerful. I mean, that's a life-changing story. Amazing. How,
Well, I
how
just love it. But I wish I'd listened to, and it had been a little bit easier in the first place. But that
room
horse was
there?
gone. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a crazy story. So, Miranda, how does your intuitive practices tie into the larger energy field of your household? Like, do you find that the energy in the home plays a big role in how animals feel and behave? Like, if there's a lot of stress or tension in the home, does that really affect our animals?
Hmm. Well, first of all, let me tell you something about cats. An etheric body for all of us is what we have that is, if we think of like an aura,
Yeah.
but it's a body of energy around us that some of us may not see with our eyes, but in our eyes. And depending on how we're feeling and what we're doing, that changes not only the colors, but the intensity of it. Now, cats are very interesting because their etheric bodies, when they live inside, their etheric bodies, they attach to everything in the environment. So, what you never want to do is pick up a cat and carry it outside. You need to let it know, I'm going to carry you outside so it has time to detach.
Mm.
So,
They understand that. I mean, if you're telling your cat, I'm going to take you outside or whatever it is, do they understand you?
well, remember that when you're telling them we need to go outside, you're picturing it.
Okay. That's helpful. It's
So,
really
yes,
picturing it. Okay.
yeah. So if we look at what is happening inside our house, it's always happening, what we're feeling, what we're doing, what we're exuding. It just is in our particular culture, we don't seem to take very much responsibility for what we're doing and what we're subjecting our animals to.
Mhm.
But there's so many situations where, I mean, people that have real PTSD dogs are
Yeah.
the best testament to that. because their whole situation is when they just start to have challenges, boom, that animal is on them. Either they get them to lie down if they're about to start seizuring because of their biochemistry changes. But if there's tension and stress in the house, it affects everyone and everything.
Yeah.
So now if we have an animal, cat, dog, mouse, horse, that is helping reduce our stress in our home changes. So now we are not as apt to have an immune system that's constantly in opposition. You know, we want to support and protect our immune system. Stress as is the profile for cancer. So if we look at, we want to reduce stress, that means, okay, when you walk into your home, what are you taking in? Be responsible before you open the front door. Shake like an animal who's just had a bath and shake off the day down into Gaia. She can handle it.
That isn't actually such great advice. I always feel like I'm having a hard day and I take my dog and I put her on my lap and I don't want to like put the bad energy into her, right? I want to like so I always feel bad almost when I'm if I am having a stressful day and I'm leaning too hard maybe on an animal companion, but I guess what you're saying is it's not that part maybe not be hurting them because it's you're de-stressing. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Well, yes, in the sense that I love hearing you're taking responsibility for whatever you're walking through.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing. And one of the things that makes me crazy, when we ask and we talk about animals, do they have certain things they want to tell humans? Oh my God. One of the things that drives animals crazy is if they've been waiting at home for us and we come home to spend time with them with our cell phone by our ear.
I always think about that. I'm always like, if I'm on my phone, I actually, it's so funny. I notice that my dog, her name's Shirley, she literally sits on my chest when I have my phone and makes me put my phone away. I'm swear to God, she really does this. Every time I have my phone, she's like, nope, I want your attention. I don't want you on your phone. It's like, I'm like, oh my God, she really is telling me that. It's crazy. Yeah. I always think about that too, because I'm like, oh, it's our animals. Like I took Shirley to the park. I'm throwing her the ball, but I'm like checking emails on my phone. And she is like, no, I want your attention. I want you to be present. And, I listen to her. I put the phone down.
Right. There you go. You're learning.
That's
That's
really,
excellent.
that's really cool. That's really cool. Okay. Oh, my dog Georgia will literally smack the phone out of my hand. That's what somebody Rena said. Yeah, I mean, it's so, because you wonder, you're like, oh, I can be on the phone with my dog. Like who the dog doesn't know, but they know. They really know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll share with everybody yesterday. I had a reading with Miranda and she said to me, and this was pretty powerful. Shirley said that I need to slow down, that I need to just be, I think, more present is how I found to stay. She didn't like how I moved around too fast, was what the message I got. And I'm really took note of it after I got that message. It was pretty interesting. I'm definitely trying, like, I noticed I would be going back and forth really quickly in my house doing things. And now I'm like, she doesn't like that when I do that. And she is at my ankles, like, slow down. And, it's a really good reminder. And this is why this session was so important for me to do with you, because it's all about wellness and our dogs know what's best for us. They do. And we just have to listen. And I just love that so much. Um, and then my next question, I kind of answered myself, but in your experience, how do animals help us learn more about ourselves, our own emotional health, and our need for healing? And I think we just talked about that, but if you have another example, I would love to hear it.
It's interesting what the animals can bring to us. Um, I'm thinking about a horse, actually. She was amazing, Ariana. And her human was 34 years old. And Ariana foundered in all four legs, meaning she could no longer stand. The pain was incredible. And so this client of mine called me and said, "We're going to put her down. Would you come and do ceremony?" And I said, "Yes." So we're in the paddock, and the two veterinarians are there, and Ariana's there. And this woman says, "Is there anything that Aria wants to say?" And she said, "Yes," and said to her human, "I cannot stand for you anymore." Now,
Wow.
of course, everyone there had their own interpretation in that split second. What does that mean? Like, I mean, obviously, physically, she can't stand it. But I watched the woman whose horse it was, and her head went, she just kind of backed up a little. So I thought, okay, message delivered, whatever that means. Then the vets went ahead and euthanized Ariana. And when Ariana was on the ground, I watched this woman walk into her house. And at first I thought maybe she was just had enough. She needed to go cry,
Yeah.
But about 20 minutes later, she came out. And I said, "Did you understand the message?" She said, "Yes, I'm gay. And I'd never told my parents until just now."
Oh, I just got chills through my whole body. Wow.
Right. And so this horse was sort of like a protection for this woman,
Wow.
but the horse was saying, "You have to deal with this now.
Wow.
I can't stand and protect you anymore." Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, next question. What role do animals play in our wellness journey, and how can we start to see them as partners in our own self-care practices?
Well, I think we've been answering that all the way along, actually,
Yeah.
because every animal has something we can learn if we want to.
Yeah.
Uh, and so being open to that and seeing what am I asking this animal to do is really important to see
Yeah.
what they're doing. And I will share with you. I mean, it depends on the animal. When I had my first service dog,
Yeah.
it was a border collie.
Mhm.
Now, I had other collies. I mean, I had other dogs, but not as a service dog and not a border collie. So when I worked with the trainer after he had been trained, I would tell him to do something and boom, he nailed it right away. And I thought, I'm such a good trainer.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm such a good trainer. And then I was trained that when you're training a dog, you say it more than once. So the second time I'd say, "Okay, sit." And my dog said to me, "Did you miss it the first time?"
Oh my gosh.
And I pulled back and went, so I said, "Sit, sit." And he went, "Stupid human." And he just walked off.
Oh my God.
So it yes goes back like 30 years, but it just depends on what it is you want to learn and what you need to learn.
Yeah.
And if we're open, they will help us learn.
What's like something though that you can incorporate them into your, like, I guess it's going on walks or like taking them on adventures with you, but like just for my own self-care journey or anybody else's self-care journey, what's the best way to incorporate them into it, I guess, actually physically incorporate them into it, I guess is my question.
Well, what's important is to ascertain what you want from the walk. Are you training the dog to walk with you? Or are you asking and offering, because we're doing a lot of canine work tonight, I know. Are you asking this dog, what do you want to sniff? What do
Yeah.
you want to do?
Yeah.
And one of the things that's really good is if you can, in your mind's eye, picture a place where you have a fork in the road, so that if you go to that place and you turn to your dog, in time, that dog will understand, oh, you're asking me which one I want.
Hmm.
And now the two of you are more of a team because that decision's been made, and he's going, wow, what do you know? She listens.
Cool. Yeah.
So yeah, so those are fun things, but keeping in mind that animals need exercise, and any time you can let a dog run first thing in the morning, the rest of your day will be so much more peaceful.
Oh, that's so funny you say that because I just started. It's raining the past 2 days here in California, but the last like week I've been making it a habit to take her to the park first thing in the morning before I even sit down and just run her, because I agree, it makes her feel like she's had her exercised and she can relax, and then I can relax, and totally agree with that.
That's wonderful.
I want to talk about, I know we've been talking a lot about dogs. I want to bring up insects and butterflies and beetles and spiders and the things that make scare us. What are like just something you could tell us? Any stories you have that you've where you've connected with a spider or an insect that might scare us, even a cockroach. I mean, whatever it is. Just curious. Like, do they have do they have souls? Or we like I believe they do, but I want to hear it from you.
So I don't know of anything that doesn't have feelings and doesn't have souls. I mean, one of my favorite go-tos are rocks, stones, cliffs, trees. And so different species have different ways of communicating to us. Spiders are fascinating. They absolutely have to understand balance or they wouldn't be able to build webs. And one of the things I love working with the kiddos on spiders is looking at the colors of the strands of the web because the colors carry information.
Mm,
Not necessarily from on planet. I'm just saying.
mm,
So if we look at it from a standpoint of what does this being have to teach me or to show me, there's a wild world out there. There's so much to learn
yeah.
from the snakes, from the lizards, the ladybugs. There's just so much going on. It just depends on if we can be quiet enough and respectful enough. And uh, and so, yeah, just about anything you can name. Now, there's species I'm not that aware of because I don't live in Africa. I don't know all of their
Yeah.
species. But when you make a decision to listen, you then have to understand about your protection prayers, and you need to look at what is your agenda? Is your agenda to learn, or is your agenda to try to have yet another being see it the way humans do? That's really important to ascertain within yourself.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many people out there that, they see a spider, a rat, whatever it is, a rodent, a bee, a bumblebee, and they're terrified. Do they know that we're scared of them?
And so, what about being scared of them? I'm not sure what you're
Do
asking.
spiders know that humans are scared of them?
Oh, just don't ever say that to a wasp. Yeah, there's yeah. Every species has its own sense because we're all over the place on this planet. We're everywhere, and we don't respect them. And so everyone is aware of who we are. Some species deal with it with fear. Some species just run. Other species try to balance the planet. I remember one time in New Mexico, it was at night, and I was leaving a horse ranch, and I remember it was so peaceful. And stars in New Mexico are incredible because there are not a lot of streetlights. We don't have that. And I remember driving and then stopping because I saw a huge field where there were a good number of horses, maybe 10, something like that. But something caught my eye, and the feeling I felt was just the energy. So I stopped. I wasn't close to them. I stopped. I got out of the car in the dark and I stood and watched them. And I watched them go from meandering to into a circle. And as they went into the circle and went around, they then looked up and held that. It was a full moon.
Wow.
When I asked what they were doing, meaning I didn't interrupt them, I asked, what are they doing? They were pulling energy onto the earth to try to heal.
Whew. Wow.
Kind of like that.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
What do you wish people understood about the work you do as an animal communicator? And I know that we had a talk before for everybody. I was referring to Miranda as a pet psychic, and she said, please, I'm an animal communicator, a counselor, and I really respect that. And I want everyone to understand, like, what are there misconceptions you'd like to clear up? Um, we aren't calling them pets because I feel like you said that it's more respectful to the animal to call them the animal. I would love to learn a little bit more about that.
So I think most of us were raised that pets are less than we are. Oh yeah, it's just a hamster. It's a goldfish, you know? But it's not respectful to think and assume that we are above them. I mean, you know, what I say to people is when you think that humans are the top of the chain on this planet, you've never met a polar bear. Okay, let's be clear.
Yeah.
You know, our egos are so blown out in who we are and what we do. So my focus is to look at addressing an animal, always asking permission to communicate, no assumption. And I feel that no matter what the species is, you have to be willing to hear, no, get away, leave me alone. And when you do that, you're showing respect. Whoa, a human that actually heard that? Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean it really takes commitment to understand we're not the only ones on this planet.
Yeah.
And we think we're more powerful in some ways than we are. Our massive numbers have changed what's happening on this planet.
Yeah.
So being respectful is very important to me. So yeah, I don't refer to animals, beings as pets,
Yeah.
you know? I mean, if you think of it, would you want to be referred to as a pet?
Probably not.
No.
Yeah, probably not. I think it's just a good thing. I was retraining as I was writing notes and just thinking about our session before leading up to it. I really was retraining my brain not to use the term pet and to be say animal. And I think that's interesting and probably more powerful than we know. My last, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, no, I was just
My,
listening. Go ahead.
my last question, and for those intrigued by your methods, how can they begin to work with you or learn more about animal communication to deepen their connection with animals?
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Well, I teach 3 levels of animal communication right now. Level 1 is beginning animal communication online. It's a course that is 6 classes long, 2 hours each class. The last class is 3 hours. We use meditations and pictures on people who have their animals and can tell us about them. Level 2 is more about the human. You know, what do you need to clear out to hear from your animal? How can you create that space? And it deepens all of these, deepen your relationship with your animal. I have people in the level 1 saying, my animal's looking at me differently, and I've just had 2 classes. And then the third level is 2-on-1 mentoring, where I work specifically with people that are going further and wanting to go further. And I will say it will change your life because you realize you can learn from the teacher right by your side.
That's so cool.
You know, one story I want to share is about a woman who contacted me, and her animal was very sick, dog was very sick, and needed to transition. And she agreed. You know, she said, I understand he's in a lot of pain. I heard from her a month later. And she said, I want to talk to my animal. And I said, great, posthumous, here we go. She said, well, I just have one really big question for me. Before he transitioned, he kept looking up at the ceiling, right where the wall meets the ceiling. Why was he doing that? Why? So I asked him, I said, show me. What are you doing? So he looked up at the ceiling, he showed me, and I saw a vision of a man, human man that had passed, obviously. And I looked at this man, and the dog was drawing to my attention. He was trying to show his human, this man. So I said to my client, you know, this dog is showing me that there's a man here. He says he's your father. And I said, I know you're not hiring me to do this, but I don't edit. I'm just letting you know this is what your dog is showing it. And he would like to speak to you. Your father would like to speak to you. Is that something you want?
Mm.
And she drained white. And I thought, so I said, we don't need to do this.
Yeah.
And she said, no, it's okay. That's okay. We can do it. And he said, I want to apologize to you for the sexual abuse I did to you as a child.
Oh my God.
At this point, the woman, you know, burst into tears, was crying and sobbing. And I held her for a while, and then I didn't hear from her. I heard from her a year later. And she said, "You changed my life." That information, how could I have ever heard that? And I said, "Not me, your dog."
That's
Your
so
dog.
cool.
Right.
You're a
Yeah.
vessel, a very powerful vessel. Miranda, this has been incredible. But last but not least, we have a giveaway that somebody is going to win a free 30-minute session with Miranda. I've written people's names. I'm literally going to circle my hand and pick it on my sheet. Okay. Oh my, Nikki, you got
Woohoo!
it.
Very good.
Oh
Very
my
good.
gosh,
Yeah.
Nikki, I know how much you wanted that. I'm so glad that I swear to God, I just put my hand on it and there you were,
Thank you. The power of manifestation.
right? So I'll link you both up in an email so that you guys can schedule that appointment together. And then otherwise, Miranda, share your Instagram handle if anybody wants to follow you.
Right. So MirandaAlcott.com or MirandaAlcottCourses.com.
Okay, great.
And all the information is there.
And
Yeah, that's
I'll send a follow-up email with all of your handles or whatever that you want to share with everybody so everybody can get in touch with you.
so so in the I'm not sure what you said because I'm hearing impaired.
Oh,
I'm lip reading you was saying it fast.
I was saying that I'm going to send a follow-up email with all your information so that everybody can get a hold of you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
I
And thank you for
really
inviting me.
thank you, Miranda. This was really amazing, and I feel like I learned a lot. I hope everybody else did. And if anybody else has a question, please you can chime in right now. This is your chance. Otherwise, I will link everybody up via email so you can get in touch
Excellent.
with Miranda.
And give Shirley a hug from me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay,
That was
well,
really interesting. Thanks so much.
all righty. Bye for now.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
Bye.